Now we record. You know how we start, Michael, as all of our episodes, we are live. Let's go.
We are live, and I
Yeah.
just want to figure out a way to get Riverside to count down from 7. I want to
Mm.
start at 7. I'm tired of this 6 thing. It makes me feel, I don't know, sixthly uncomfortable. I'm not sure why.
Let's ask them. Let's ask them and see what we can do for
Let's
us.
call them and do it. Martin, who's joining us today?
Today we have Frost with us.
I am so excited about this.
Yeah.
I cannot, and Frost is the founder and the CEO of Social Chat. I
Hmm.
cannot wait to talk about this because this
Same
is
for
like
me.
right in our wheelhouse kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's going to be super interesting. I really want to learn more about what they're building and what they do.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so do I. And before we do that, Frost, maybe you can give us some of your background for context. I don't know anything about you yet.
Oh, exciting. That's amazing. Hi, Martin and Michael. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Just a little bit about myself. So my entire career has always been in social media and e-commerce, specifically by using machine learning to help personalization and converting customers.
Wow.
So that's my background. And I
And
always start.
where are you from?
I'm originally from Taiwan.
From Taiwan. Sweet. And you went to
Yeah.
school where? In Michigan, yeah?
Yeah, I went to school in Michigan. It was very cold.
I'm just getting cold thinking
But
about it.
that's when I figured out why it's a really good engineering school because you just study all the time in the dorm and never want to go outside.
Did you ever walk outside of your dorm and just think, there's no way I'm crossing the quad. I'm just going back into my room and just going to start programming again?
Trust me, Michael, it is crazy. Also, I moved from a tropical island in Taiwan, right? So
That's my point.
definitely it was
But can I
crazy.
ask? Can I ask you this? Did you know what you were getting yourself into? I mean, Michigan, obviously, unbelievable academic school, right? And also football. So you get both of these things. But did you know you were going to get into this environment that was just like freezing cold?
Well, I didn't, but I made the adjustment really quickly. So the first 3 months I was there, I got an internship in Silicon Valley. And then I flew to California to fix that.
Much
And I
better, right?
stay in Silicon Valley ever since
I've seen
afterwards. So
Silicon
I
Valley
guess
ever
it was
since.
not a bad thing. Really,
Good
pretty
call.
motivating. Yeah.
So what was it like for you going to Silicon Valley? I'm really curious about this transition, right? So from Taiwan, really, right, to Michigan and then into Silicon Valley, which is just like this hotbed of activity and innovation and stuff like that. Was that what you expected as well, or was that different too?
I think there's definitely a lot of things that are super interesting, almost like a culture shock. I would say the first time I was in Silicon Valley in general. So number one, when people talk to you, they talk about how they are changing the world, and people really believe that, which
Really?
is why I stay here. This is just super beautiful. And sometimes you do find out accidentally, you do change the world of the impact
Accidentally.
of things you do. So I think that's just really beautiful experience that I find that really rare and very precious.
Do you feel like
Yeah.
you have an opportunity to change the world as well?
Absolutely. I was really lucky. I've been working with amazing companies and amazing brands that I really feel the difference. I can give you a little hint. I'm one
Please.
of the person who created the first generation of hashtag recommendation on Twitter. So for a lot of the early events back in the early 2010, I do feel, yes, I'm the reason why you're seeing this.
But can you run me through that a little bit? I'm really curious about this, right? Because the hashtag is something now that people just completely take for granted, and it's everywhere. So what was the idea there? Like, how does that come about? Was it just like a bunch of buddies sitting around trying to figure out what to do, or just some symbol to use? Because at obviously you can't use dashes, don't matter. Exclamation points mean something in programming. Why the hashtag? Is it just the commenting in like Perl? Do you know what I mean?
To be honest, it's completely created by users. The platform just followed the user existing behaviors
Yeah,
and start to promote more features around it so people can use that feature easier and more consistently, that
I
more
get it.
people can enjoy the benefits.
Yeah, and I think if
Yeah.
are you a programmer as well?
Yes, like I
Yeah.
said,
So
I'm a machine learning driven person.
right, right.
Yeah.
So if you're a computer scientist and a programmer, you know, obviously that when you're writing code or reading other people's code, the comments are always hashtagged out. No.
Yeah, I am almost certain that's why not why the initial users use hashtag, but
It's just me making
it
stuff
makes
up.
sense. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So talk to me about the genesis of social chat. Like, are you a big shopper? Or are your teammates big shoppers? Like, how did this come about?
So I think it goes a little bit from a different route. So my entire team, we were all like doing marketing for brands for years and years and
Okay.
running a lot of marketing budget there. So the reason we do social chat is because it is getting harder and harder to please customers in general
Yeah.
online. Because
Yeah.
if you think about the store just being like the static image and text for all these years, and
Yeah.
when more and more brands and more services move online, people definitely want a better experiences. They want videos, they want it to be interactive, they want the entire experience to be personalized, and they want to feel special and really learn about what is relevant to them before they make a purchase decision. So it just comes to us that this is really the era that shopping behavior changes, and we should really offer these experiences for the shoppers.
Yeah. So I feel like we're at the beginning of not even just an evolution, but a revolution. And I'll tell you why, and you tell me where it's going from here. You know, in the old days, if I walked into a store, a salesperson may walk over to me, any kind of store. It doesn't matter if it was auto parts or, high end men's haberdashery. Like it didn't matter. But some salesperson who was meant to be an expert would come over and say, "How can I help you?" And there was a whole
Yeah.
bunch of like these visceral experiences, right? Where, they'd guide you somewhere, they'd show you things, they'd put things together. It was very interactive. And I felt like if you went back to the store, you'd get the same person because that person obviously was getting the comm, right? The commission.
Mhm.
How do you mirror that experience, right? Which is very immersive in the real world online. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes two parts of it. Like one is, like you say, it has to be like very personal, right?
Yeah,
That's why the
I think.
interactive part definitely has to be there. So when user go to an online store, if they can join these live shopping sessions directly in the store, then of course they can see and feel the services they used to get in the store, and now it's also available online. And to your point about the person always remembers what you like and what to recommend to you, I would say there's one thing even better than sales representatives. That's our beautiful machines. So all these interactions and all these shopping behaviors you made, the machines remember it and with no bias. So next time when you come to the store, we know, okay, Michael, you're interested in black shorts. Let's recommend you content
How
related to
how could you
that.
tell?
That Yeah, and what is the size you always wear? What kind of material like to? So these sales representative and all these interactive sessions are even more, I would say, tailored to you from the get go. That you don't have to remind them what you like and what you care about.
But can I ask you this? So when you build personalization like in the real world, right? Like when I go into the
Mm-hmm,
same sandwich shop or I go into the same pizza place, like let's just go through
mm-hmm,
this progression a little bit. And I'm really curious how this is going to play out online because I think it's important.
mm-hmm,
I go to a pizza shop and I sit there and I sit there alone for dinner. I have my computer there, I'm working, blah, 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 and I'm doing my thing. And then over time,
mm-hmm.
the waitress just kind of gets familiar to me. Should I bring you the soda water? You want the one with the pepperoni? It's like they just know it over time. They just learn it. It makes me feel comfy. And then I bring my daughter with me to dinner. Like I never talk about my daughter beforehand. And then they just realize over time who I am. And it's that building that relationship over time in little bits and pieces that makes me feel comfortable than sharing more. Is there some kind of balance you think with AI and ML that says, I don't want you to know everything about me instantaneously because it makes me feel weird, right? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like asking someone to marry them on the first date. You're like, whoa, slow down a little. Can we do that as well in the social shopping experience where you learn about me bit by bit over time and then I start feeling super comfy? Or does it have to be like, is it zeros and ones? You know what I mean? Is it binary?
Well, Michael, I think you really treat the machine learning or AI machines as too magical. It definitely has to learn from you little by little. So without actually just seeing how you shop, your interactions with the brand over time, what do you purchase? That's how they learn, just like how a human learns about what you like. What channels do you prefer, right? Do you like to go to a group shopping session so you can hear other people's opinions, or do you want to book a one-to-one style consulting session so you have a sales representative to customize your wardrobe for this summer?
So
So
how
like
does
over
so
time they learn more about you.
interesting. So that's actually super cool. But how does it work exactly? Let's say I'm a because I want to look at it from both sides, right? It's a two-sided thing. The brand or the product people want to use it, but also as a
Mm-hmm,
shopper, I want to use it too, right? Because like you said, when I
mm-hmm.
walk into the store, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that guy because I don't like his taste. I want to deal with the guy that's got the black shirt on because he's more my style, kind of thing, right? But how does it work on both sides? Like, what does the brand do to affect the use of the tech? And then what does it look like to me? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. Yeah, so honestly, the base brands, they want exactly the same thing as the customers. They want the customers to be happy. So you will not only make a purchase, but you leave the store happily. That's how you actually come back. That's how you become their promoter. That's how they actually have a long-term relationship with you. So for
Got
the
it.
brands, it actually benefits them so much better to give you the good service, right? Like really good interactive videos to tell you about the content and learn about your interest rather than, hey, Michael, if you buy it within next 3 minutes, you get $10 off,
Yeah, yucky. That's
right?
a
This
yucky
is
experience.
not really,
No.
that's not, may work for some subset of people, but it doesn't really work long term, right?
No, but I
Because
mean,
at the end of the day, they don't make you like, they don't learn more
happy.
about you.
No, I mean, imagine that in a
Yeah.
real store. If you walked in and you were like, "Here's a shirt you really love, but you've got 7 minutes to 6 minutes now to 5 minutes now to buy it," you'd just be like, "Can I leave this store? How fast can I leave the store?" Right? That's really uncomfortable. What does it look like on the back end, though? Right? Obviously, the customers are never going to see the back end, but the brands do. What does the back end look like to them, and can it be adjusted in real time? Like, how does it really work logistically? I'm super curious on the tech side.
Absolutely. So the brand, they can see like every single content they put on their site and all the interaction with they have with the customers. Do the customers engage? Do they actually visit more often? Do they actually make any purchases? Like what do they purchase? How long does it take them to purchase? Do they refer their friends? Do they share these links? Do they actually come back again? Do they actually read other content? For example, they just joined a style guide for the summer. Do they so enjoy the content they actually go to the next one, like how to pick your best shirt for your first job, right? So I feel this can get them really good idea about what kind of content to produce, exactly to your point, that really get the customers the happiest and buy more.
And do the brands create their own content, or is there like a division of social chat that creates the content for them as well? Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of companies, particularly smaller brands, they may be great at creating, like you said, shirts or trousers or shoes, but maybe not so great at content. And even if they hire someone to do it, they may be terrible as well. Like it's a real skill. Yeah. Do you do that as well?
We don't really create the content for the brands because the base content, Michael, actually interested in what I learned. Once it's interactive out here, you don't really need a really high budget studio like produced content, like a movie clip. All you need is just be very genuine and just tell the story. So I always like to bring this to example. One of our brand partners, they actually brought one of their power user who's in his 80s to the live streaming, and he
Yeah.
barely knows anything about technology. And all he said was, "Oh, after a 60-year-old, I hate to look into the mirror because I feel old. But after I start using your anti-aging products, now I look into a mirror every day." That is such a powerful statement. I still remember it now. You can imagine how many ads and how many marketing contents I read all the time. I always remember that. And how
Yeah.
can their user now want to buy it right away after hearing this? That is so powerful. Then they hire like a lot of supermodels. to pause for
Yep.
their products.
So I completely agree with you. And one of the things that we do, like you can see, like I don't have a script. I'm just chatting with you, right? And I'm just trying to figure out, because I believe that conversations are way more powerful than scripted interviews, in the same way that I think authenticity from an 80-year-old man who uses an anti-aging product and it makes him feel better is way more authentic than having a supermodel say, I feel great today, because it's like, duh, like, of course you do. Male or female, you're gorgeous to begin with. I don't understand why you're the product sponsor or the product representative for this. Um, but I do think this, excuse me, over time, people are going to want the production value to get better and better, right? Because at some point, that's going to be one of the differentiating factors as well. Today, the ability just to do social chat and social selling is super important because it's highly differentiated. But once everybody gets it, then it's just going to be like a billboard. And as the billboards then become more beautiful or more interactive, something has to change. And I do think production quality is going to be there. Do you see it moving in that direction as well? Like, do you feel that already or not yet?
I think what really I feel the entire like the production setup is really people are conducting all these conversations more smoothly, and they actually add a little bit more like better cameras. Just trust me, so many of our initial brand partners they use like 480p, but customers love them anyways. But now Ross, I'm moving to HD, so people at least can see my face clearly.
And I'm not in the
But
dark,
in
and it's
terms
not a bad angle, right? I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of really like making it a professional setting, there is one thing I found out is there is a new industry. We call it live streaming experts or influencers. So they really specialize in they can conduct all this content very like casually, but just really, really high quality because they know what to talk, they know how to present it, they know how to
Yep.
show the products. So I did see
Mhm.
brands start engaging with these people just so they have an expert working on this channel for them.
Got it. What's like the biggest surprise you've had so far in the content creation side of this? Meaning, you've set up a live stream for somebody and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they've tried that thing. Right. Because I've got 1,000 ideas for what I might do to sell something, but I'm curious what surprises you.
I think what really surprised me because I had a marketing background and work with so many brands, they always create like the most beautiful content ever. I think once I start working on this, what surprised me is really, Michael, it's just the most genuine content actually get users the
Yeah.
best. This grandpa example I just gave really is the one that made
Mhm.
me remember the most because the fact I still remember that exact quote,
Mhm.
just imagine how their target audience remember that very quote from there. I think that was just really beautiful, and he barely knew how to use computers, right?
Yeah.
So I think
I mean,
that's
that
just
makes,
really beautiful.
I'm trying to remember the name of this comedian, but his father's from Hong Kong as well, and his first name is Jimmy. For the life of me, I cannot remember his last name. Anyway, funny guy. And he was telling his father that he was going to be on TV, and his father was like, "That feels kind." His father's like 60 or 70 years old, right? And his father's like, "That feels kind of easy to me. Like anybody can do this." And he was really mad because he's like, "I've been going to auditions forever. I'm trying to get on TV." And his dad was like, "I'll show you." And his dad just like started going to auditions, but because he's at that age where he'll just say anything and be super authentic, he just started getting hired like left and right.
That's amazing.
In China as well, and in San Francisco or in California, and he was just like, I cannot believe this. Now my dad's on TV, and then his dad was on his show. It was just hilarious. But you're right. You have to find a way to connect, right? And I think it's that connection then where people really start sharing. When do you think this social selling, video selling, and interactive selling gets so immersive? And like, what has to happen so that you actually feel like you're in the store? Do you know what I mean? Where there's no
Yeah,
differentiation, where like the distance and the geography is just abstracted away and you really feel like you're there. Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. I think we are at a point because of the pandemic and everything, this really got accelerated. So people actually do this way more. They put more efforts into it. I think if anything, we can get better to almost an immersive thing there. Is really when brands take advantage of all the, because it's not only social setting, it's really all the feedback and all the learnings they gain from all these videos, just like how a sales representative can continuously learning for each customers. But the
Yeah.
brand can learn even faster with all these analytics, with all this machine learning to know what really gives their customers the most genuine experience, like they would feel is almost in the store. What really comforts them the best?
Right. So for me, like I went out to buy some black shirts recently, all joking aside. And there's a specific kind of cotton I like. And when I go into brand A's store that I've been buying for my whole life, I now feel that cotton and I'm like, I feel like it's different and cheaper and I won't buy it anymore. So I went to feel a bunch of other products to see what they were like. And it turns out that even the super famous brands didn't have the best cotton. Do you know what I mean? How do you replicate that? This is I'm really curious about this because I don't think we're super far away from that. But how do you build that into the tech stack so that people can have this haptic feeling experience with the materials of like the physical things that they want to buy?
Yeah, actually, Michael, you're exactly to the point. A lot of the fashion brands now in all their on-site or online education start focusing on the fabrics. How do they source the fabrics? Why their fabric is better? Exactly to a point. They start talking about this organic cotton. We sew it through these like 200 threads, and this is how it looks like. So they actually, I think what is amazing is you hear that directly from the very person who sourced this material in the company instead of from a sales representative. So the person actually tells you, hey, I went to Inner Mongolia to purchase this entire set of cashmere. Let me tell you why this is amazing. Of course, you will say, well, for us, I still don't feel it. But sometimes I feel it's not only feel it, it's really you have the trust of the quality. And again, remember all these brands, they do free returns. So there's really no reason for them to trick you to buy something and they actually eat up more cost.
Yeah, I'm less
So
worried about. I don't think brands at scale really want to trick consumers. I think there are small people that try to do
exactly.
that, and over time, I think they get weeded out because it's a mechanism for just saying we don't trust you. And the whole idea of a brand is, I know if I buy a Coca-Cola anywhere in the world, it tastes exactly the same, and I know exactly what I'm getting. So because I trust that they're going to do that, and you're right. Yeah, nobody wants to have a non-trustful thing. But you also brought up something super interesting. This idea of like getting the purchase manager or the lady who actually flew to Mongolia to tell that story is actually super. I'd love to meet her, by the way, this person that went to Mongolia. Can we have them on the show as well? Um, but
And
go ahead,
Yeah.
Martin.
yeah, yeah. I just want to ask you, like, do you see a lot of brands doing that? Like, either sending a sales representative to do the live streaming, they send, like, for example, the purchase manager or the head of design, because I think this is one of the biggest advantage of live streaming. The way you do it is that you can talk to people that normally you can't talk to. Like, if I
Yeah.
walk to the store, I can talk to the sales representative or maybe the store manager, but I cannot talk to the head of design who is in the main office in New York, for example, if I'm in a store in Los Angeles. But thanks to live streaming, these people can now stream on the website and talk directly to end consumers.
Good
So do
point.
you see this happening a lot? Is it normal, or like what's your view on that?
Yeah, I actually really think it gives a new channel for the brand to convey their branding value to customers. Exactly to your point, Martin.
Mhm.
Honestly, all these people are so proud of
Oh
their
yeah, they must
sourcing.
be.
They always want to tell the customers. It's
For
just
sure.
before they used to write these really long blog posts, and unfortunately,
Mhm.
most people they don't really
Don't read it. Yeah.
read all these details of
Mhm.
this amazing story. But when you see the person like sitting there showing to you, hey,
Super
this
cool.
is what I
Yeah.
gained from there. And how they actually identify all these different qualities. I think that is such a powerful story that really build a connection between customers and brands, and also really trust the quality
For
of the
sure.
product.
So
Yeah.
do you see that already happening? Like, do you see brands using like the people who are not in sales at all doing the sales, let's say, on the live streaming?
Absolutely. I've
Okay.
been seeing a lot of the chief science officers go
Okay.
on these streamings.
I love it.
So that's another side. For example, we talk about skincare, right?
Mhm.
Instead of telling you all these buzzwords, they actually tell you why our ingredients better.
Mhm.
And this is our patent. We don't have
Mhm.
to know all these biotech terminologies, but they go through like why this is really effective for you. And I think customers really buy into that.
How does the interactivity work? Is it pure like video interaction where I can just like have a conversation with you like we're doing now? Do I need to be enabled by the salesperson to be able to talk? Is it all over chat? And is it different for groups? You know what I mean? Like, let's say I'm in a group thing where, like, I don't know, a big client like HTC is doing like a big thing about the new Vive and there are 50 people watching or something. Like, how does that interactivity work? How is it moderated? How is it not like just like a, herding cats kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what has been doing really, really well is they invite a loyal customer, like the gentleman I just mentioned, and they have a really good fireside talk. While other customers, they can ask questions on the site and they will answer from there. But there is a main person who's doing the talking, and
Uh,
the I guess the guest they invite to participate in the conversation as well, so they can control the flow exactly to your point, and
got it.
really focus on what they are talking about.
Interesting. And is this technology that was all built in house, or is this sort of built on top of an open source stack? Like, how did that work as well?
So for this experience to be really good, we actually focus on a lot of integrations. So we have a very easy integration with Shopify. So Shopify stores can easily use us. We have an easy integration with Klaviyo. So the people who already use that for CRM can easily use us. So to answer your question, Michael, yes, we're all about integrations and really want to let our customers to continuously use whatever solutions they're already using, instead of
Interesting.
we rebuild everything in-house
So
and
if I'm
focus our
using,
core offering. Yeah.
yeah. So this is interesting. So does that mean that like I can use a different video client than maybe another brand? They're not all using a client that you've built. In other words, they're not logging into social chat per se and then using a video client there. They may use something that they've already used and you integrate it into your backend. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so we always integrate directly with the stores that uses us. So all the customers who are really having these interactions actually sign up an account on the Fairy e-commerce store. We just connect the account system into our experiences. So they always have the direct account of their customers. And that's one of our promises, right? You have to build a direct relationship.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay, so their data is already integrated into what you're doing, and then you just like superpower their data or turbocharge their data so that then they can get a better understanding. And I guess this brings up the other thing. What has been, and it's a little bit of a side question, right? But Apple's done a lot of work on data privacy, particularly with the release of iOS 14.5, right? GDPR continues to evolve. And this idea of like data transparency, but also self-sovereign data ownership is becoming really important. And I think there are some estimates that like 10 to 15 billion dollars of ad revenue has been taken away from Facebook. Like, how does all this play out, you think, from a data and data privacy standpoint? Do you know what I mean? Particularly as a machine learning person and as an AI person, you know how powerful that data is. Like, what's the data path here?
Well, thanks for asking that, because that's why exactly I started this company. So the truth is, users want this personalized experience. What they do not want is you resell their data. So
Yeah,
when
I
the
hate it.
user come to the website, and they are getting all these services. They don't mind letting their sales representatives to know what
No.
kind of shirt they like,
Yeah.
what kind of shoes they like.
Yep.
So they sign up an account with this store and these brands particularly, and we just help this brand to do all these machine learning driven video experiences with their customers. And all this information stay on this free store. So customers get everything they like, and their data is not going to be resell to any other brands. And for the brand itself too, because they spend all these efforts, right, to observe this customer. They don't want their data to be taken by Facebook and immediately used to be helpful for their competitors, which is the current situation,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's really beneficial for both the customers and the brands to have these data models and these machine learning experiences on the website and the website directly instead of all these other platforms.
Right. And I think the implications of this are actually quite large. I mean, imagine a situation where, like, let's go back to the pizza shop analogy, right? I sit down, I order a pizza, and I start chit chatting with the waiter or the waitress so they get to know me. We do this over time. I go to dinner with my daughter. Now they know I have a daughter, right? They see my shopping bags. They know, like, I shop at Xenia or Hermes or whatever it is that I'm doing. But if they then went around and like told people, like, hey, Michael's back for having pizza, he's the guy who's always with the Hermes bag, like, this would make me mad, right? Do you know what I mean? Because now that's like reselling my data. That's the analogy that I'm making. And that's kind of what Facebook does at scale. Do you think that over time, and I'm just curious about this, right? You're in the Valley, you hear people talking. Do you think over time, like Facebook as this engine for ads and for personalization loses some of its influence? Like, are they nervous now?
They're absolutely nervous. That's why they changed their company name to focus on something else. They are no
But
longer
it's
called
in,
Facebook. They are called
but it's
Meta.
insane. I mean, imagine if McDonald's changed its name to like Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know what I mean? Like they just said, we're changing our whole business model. This is the way you're laughing, but this is the way I think about it. And this is why I want to know from you because you're there. Because what you're doing is, again, you're abstracting away the ad business from one gigantic platform and basically making every shop owner their own advertiser. No?
Well, Michael, I feel there's still a lot of value Facebook is providing. At first, it is a social network, right? So users can still like discover new products, new services, and new ideas from there. All the brands want is, hey, I just want you to give the customers into our store and we'll do our own branding experiences here, right? And then we're not going to share the data back to you so you can share with our competitors. That doesn't mean brand would absolutely stop sponsoring Facebook to introducing some customers to their store.
Not
I
yet.
think that service would always be there, right? Even Yahoo still gets a lot of ads from the banners. Like people always want to give the platform with a lot of eyeballs money. So I feel that has always been the case, right?
I sorry, go ahead, Marvin. It's so funny though, because I haven't even heard of the word Yahoo in such a long time. I was wondering if it's still there, but I guess they do still generate like billions of dollars of revenue, but it's just not cool to talk about. And I'm not saying you're not cool. I'm just saying like nobody talks about it. Do they? I don't know.
I didn't hear
Well,
about it since a while as well.
well, it's still a really, really big website.
I
And,
know.
you
Yahoo
know,
Sports, Yahoo
like,
Finance. I know it's there, but I
Yeah.
just never think about it. It's a really interesting thing. Sorry, Martin, were you going to say something?
No, it was just about the data because I think this is very interesting what's happening in the data right now, and you said that that's the reason why you launched your company, and for example, like we get all of this data for personalization on one customer for one store, right? And I think you already answered my question, but just to be clear, that you're not sharing the data from one store to another store, right? So like we really emphasize on the customer who are coming back on the same store, and then we know them better. But we are not tracking Michael on one website and another website and another website. So when it comes to the fourth website, we know him already a little bit, and we can show him some good stuff. This is not what you're doing, right? You're not sharing the data between your customers to know their customers better from the first interaction.
yeah, I'll just give you an example, right? So on Facebook ads or on a lot of ads platforms, if you are, say, Uber, you can
Mhm,
target all the users who like Lyft
mhm, mhm,
on Facebook, to acquire them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and then you can even say, oh, they are like the top followers. So,
Mhm.
they are most interested in spending a lot of money in these like kind of apps. So you target them, right? For us, it's not the way it is, right? Like a brand cannot say, hey, I want to learn about all the other customers who are really engaging with the content and really build a direct relationship with our competitor.
Mhm.
It's just not, I would say it's not a comparable experience. And what they should be focusing on is really how do they optimize their user experiences with their
Mhm.
customers by learning more about their customers. I feel the idea is very, very different for these kind of channels as well.
Is there an advisory role for social chat to play in the sense that you are gathering all this sort of data, and even if you anonymize it, you can aggregate it, even if you don't share it and resell it, but you can still understand like what people are and what people aren't purchasing, or in which products they have intent, right? We can talk about intent until we're blue in the face. But do you do that too?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. So what does that look like to you? Do you know what I mean? Because then we've asked other people this before, but I think there must be a big opportunity for you to make product recommendations to them, like, hey, you know what? Everyone's buying the blue thing. Make more blue. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, right? Because we know in general, okay, there is a trend uh, that users like certain things, that users like
Mhm.
shorter videos. What are people talking about? But this is really to lift higher conversion of every single store instead of like taking their customers, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah, yeah.
feel it's more like everyone's helping each other than in a very competitive sense.
Yeah, I don't think you want to
Yeah.
do what Amazon does, where they take a look at all their data and just say, okay, everybody's buying this widget. Now let's make a way cheaper version of it. Let's white label it and then drive everybody who searches for like widget A to our thing and then put everybody out of business. I don't think that that's something you would do. You just don't seem like, it just doesn't seem like that's in your DNA. But why are you both
Well,
laughing
that
at me?
goes really far. But yeah, we are just here to really enable the brand with all the
That's my point,
information,
though.
all the data we
Yeah.
know, and we learn from the customers. Yeah.
So I have another question, though. Again, if you have all these products and all these people on the platform, and if some of the brands are smaller, and this is going to be a little bit weird, right? But it's, again, if you have all this data, can you understand like investment opportunities, and can you also understand like financing opportunities, and also like insurance opportunities for people, like for product insurance? Do you know what I mean? Because you have all this data, you see what people are buying, you see what they're returning, you can even see, probably understand like cash flow trends. There is there a fintech opportunity for you as well, or you just don't think about this? You know what I mean?
Well, I definitely feel like eventually I would definitely love, there are a lot of the financial services here, like the banks. They do revenue based financing.
Financing, yep.
So yeah, so definitely I can see like if the brands over time, it's really not in our core DNA because our goal is to make the shopping experience as pleasant as possible. And
I
so the
get it.
brands are more successful and the customers are happier. But
Yep.
I feel along the line, if the brands really need this kind of help, we can always like, hey, this is super easy for you to download all the reports on our platform so you can showcase to these people how amazing you are doing and how
Yeah.
high the retention is of your customers. So these banks would feel way more comfortable lending you money, right? So we are definitely happy to help that for sure and would love to.
Yeah, and even provide product insurance, almost like embedded product insurance, like Apple Care for everybody else's products would seem like it makes the most sense. Martin's laughing at me because we talk about this a lot.
I love this idea. You know
I
that.
know, I know, and I love it as well. I mean, every place I look is an opportunity to sell people even just small pieces of insurance, but at some point, aggregated, it turns into something really large.
Mhm.
The other thing I
Absolutely.
can't get out of my mind is you've built this platform that allows these social interactions from multiple people at a time that can then be personalized for individuals. Are there other ways to use this technology, to use the marketing experience and the ad experience that you have, and also the product experience, to then maybe have like another division of social chat that's called like event chat? And then you're just building an online event facilitation business as well with all the stuff that you've learned in that interactivity, and just say, don't do a physical event anymore, do a hybrid event, but use what we've learned to be able to do that and build that platform too? Does that make sense? In other words, can you use this for something that's not product and sales related directly as well?
Yeah, so our customers already use us for this kind of purpose. So exactly to your point, Michael, like we have customers, they use us for a launch event. So it's not really for a sale. They just want to say, hey, now this product is available and want to tell you a little bit about us. We have people who literally didn't even talk about anything about their product at all. It's just like a pure educational session
Yeah.
for, yeah, it's just for, okay, now it's summer. What is a better way to eat healthily? And that's
Yeah.
it. And then
Right.
I should have a
Right. Because if it's,
nutritionist to talk about this.
yeah, because
Yeah.
if it's like, if it's super interactive and you've built this interactivity to it, I can kind of use it for anything once I get on the platform, right? Like you don't even really care if I do sales or not sales. I don't know. I just find that that part of it's really interesting. Because once people know you for having an efficient way to connect with other people, well, then that connectivity can actually become really important. And I guess the other thing is, did we learn? And you mentioned this earlier, right? The pandemic accelerated almost every kind of online experience and
Yes.
every digital experience, right? And we talk a lot on some of our other shows about how digital transformation was, if it was going to take 15 years, it took 15 months because of the pandemic kind of thing, right? It just got super accelerated.
Yes.
But did it
Yes.
also teach us in reverse that humans really crave connectivity with other humans, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Michael, I think there's a really good balance. For example, a lot of my friends, after they enjoyed all these experiences, they're like, Frost, I'll never want to drive an hour away to the shopping mall. I can just buy things online. All the brands I like are already there. Anyways, I just need to learn a little bit more about them, like the color and the set and stuff, and I can just
Yep.
purchase from there. Right? It's same reason what Amazon made it available back in the 2000. I think all these like online shopping experience are not going to go away, but at the
No.
same time, exactly to your point, like people still want this connectivity, and that's why I feel this interactive life experience is just so essential because they want the convenience, but they still want to feel connection with the brand and with the story.
Right. So I want to give you an example, right? So this weekend, and Martin and I have been talking about this all week. Martin and I are going to go shopping for some equipment,
Like
right?
every weekend, right?
Like every weekend. No, but this is important. But we're going together,
Yeah,
right?
it's much more
And
fun.
part of the reasons why we're going together is so we can actually look at it together, talk about it together, just the two of us. We're not going with 1,600 other people, which would be okay because when we get to the place where we're going to go shopping, there will be 1,600 other people there, right? Rounded. But how do you facilitate that online as well, right? In other words, how can I say to you, "Hey Frost, I'm going to a party this weekend. I want some help with you like putting together this outfit. Can we just go together online and do that?" How can we make that level of personalization where it feels like we're going together? Because that's one of the reasons why people went to the mall anyway, right? Even if they didn't want to buy something, they wanted to have a social experience as well. Does social chat facilitate that too?
Yeah, I think that's why it is so essential, not only like the one-to-one shopping experience, but really you are participating in an online event kind of experience, right? When you are hearing this out, you are seeing all other people's reactions. And exactly to your point, Michael, it's not only your friend, but also other people. If we dial back to be a few years back, whenever we walk in the store of, let's say, Nordstrom, we'll see a lot
Yep.
of people just like surrounding one model, right? And the brand is like showing on the model of the new
Right.
products. And then you'll be like, I want to take a look too, because why so many people were there? That's
Exactly.
exactly the social proof is still there, even when we're doing online. So you can see, oh, there are like 200 people coming. Oh, all these
Mhm.
people are saying they have used this product before and they love it. And they come here to learn a little bit more.
Right.
So that really gives you more confidence and learn more from other customers as well.
But are you building this serendipitous experience? Because that's what you're talking about, right? If I walk into Nordstrom's with maybe something in mind, let's say I want to buy like a toy for my one of my kids' friends' birthdays, and then when I get there, like you said, they're around this like perfume counter, and I'm like, wait a second, what's going on over there? Is that really Miley Cyrus kind of thing? Like, what are they advertising? can you build that serendipitous experience online as well? In other words, is there like a social chat mall where I can kind of just go and just be like, what's happening now kind of thing? And then pick the ones that I want to go and then pop out and go into some other store?
Well, we don't really do that right now, just because that's one of the things we really want to make sure the stores keep their customers in their own store at this
Got it.
very moment of the iterations. And that's
I
what they
understand.
want. They want, yeah, Michael, for example, if you go into, say, I don't know which
Nike.
store you purchase from, Nike want you to stop upon their another line of shoes, not Adidas,
Yeah,
when
no,
you're
I know.
already in their store, right? So that's, yeah, I know you, but that's why you already chose Nike when you walk in the store, right?
Yeah.
But I can see in the future, and some of our brand partners already do, that brands they love as well. So they actually invite another brand to come over and run
Right.
these events with them and say, hey, it's our sister brand. They're amazing. Check them out.
Yeah,
So we
like
saw that kind of experiences
yeah.
as well.
Right, like Apple works with Hermes on some very expensive bands. We were talking about our bands before. This is not the Hermes band. I don't have that much money. Um, and Apple also works with Nike, right, on the Nike watch too. But they're not working with like Pro Keds, even though Keds is a beautiful brand. They're just not, right? So I can see ways that that can work together too. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I, I was wondering, like, on a macro level, when you talk about this idea of what you're doing with brands, what is their reaction? Are they like, wow, that's amazing, we need to start tomorrow, like even yesterday? Or are they kind of like, I don't know, tell me more about it, like, do they need more information? Like, what's the reaction that you have when you talk to brands?
Yeah, I think there are like both sides. Certain brands are like, oh,
Okay.
we would definitely love to do that because they already have this conversation with their customers and
Hmm.
they want to just enhance these conversations, right? You already get so many emails from customers asking you about this. You might as well really make it a even more interactive experiences. And some brands, because this is a more new type of channel, so they do care about, okay, for us, what's the best practices? How
Mhm.
often should I do it? Can I really do that? I'm not really, talkative type. And I was like, of course, because your users want to hear from you, not from, like
A
some
spokesperson. Yeah.
supermodels you hire. They really
Yeah.
want to hear from you. And that's really the biggest difference. You don't have to be like a talk show host like
Mhm.
level to be able to have these kind of genuine conversations.
Yeah. Okay, I definitely imagine because like we are in Asia with my job, we're in Bangkok, so the live commerce here is like huge, right? Like
Massive.
everybody do
Everybody and their
that.
brothers doing it.
Yeah, everybody's doing that. But also, like the people who are shopping, they love to go on live commerce and they are looking for this live thing, right? They
Yeah.
don't really go to the website because that's not the way you shop in Thailand. But they go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go to Facebook Live. Like they do like to all of these places where they can see someone talking about
Yeah.
their product, right? And this is something huge. It's normal. Everybody does it. Everybody loves it. And I feel like this trend started in Asia, and from my side, I kind of see that it's struggling to go to Europe because I work with a lot of merchants in Europe, but I love this idea of doing that. So I'm wondering what am I missing to make the merchants who are in Europe and who don't really want to do live commerce or do something on their website. I'm wondering what I'm missing to make them start because I think they should do it.
I was surprised you say they are not interested in at least giving a try. I think maybe just
Yeah.
because these brands, they do have like the brand value. They want to make sure they are ready for the content
Okay.
before they start doing that. And I think that's really true for any kind of content marketing, right? They want to think about what kind of content we want to put there. They want to think
Hmm.
about what is the base experiences when they're engaging with their customers. So I do feel for anything new, it does take some time for people to adopt it. And honestly, Martin, exactly to my experience, I feel in Asia, people like to buy things from platforms, but in at least United States, people
Hmm.
do like to engage directly with the brands,
Hmm.
right? So
For
the
sure.
shopping behavior is a little bit different as
Hmm.
well. That the brands are providing different kind of content to customers.
Okay, interesting because yeah, I'm sharing this idea of doing some live on my customers' website since like I think more than a year and a half, and I always said like if you want to do it, let me know because I think this is a great idea, and so far you're like nobody really told me like Martin, we really want to do that, and okay, maybe we need to educate them more, maybe we need to explain them more and prepare them more, and then we can start doing that, and that's a nice idea, and yeah, that might be the path moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think it really just they need to see other
Hmm.
just like a instead of giving them the examples of what works in Asia, they're really seeking a more branding experiences. Like it's really like on their store, all the content, all the UI, all the experiences is to their brand. I
Hmm.
think that's what people really care in
Okay.
those e-commerce brands as well.
Oh, okay. The last thing I want to ask you is what does growth look like to you? Like what's going to make your business way bigger the next time we talk to you?
Well, after Martin conquered the entire Europe and make them all use social chat to do live shopping, I'm waiting for that.
I would love to
No,
actually. I would love to. But yeah, but this is a very good point. Like I would love to. I see in Thailand that it's working so well. Like
It
and
is.
even on the brand and on the consumer side, like how many people I talked to would told me we are going to the live to make sure if we buy or not. Like this is a real like buying behavior, right? Like people
Hmm.
people did that because they prefer to shop this way, right? And I'm working with all of these brands in Europe, and I don't see them to doing that. I'm trying, to throw some hints, on something that they should do to start, but I don't see them starting yet. So in Europe, we are always late compared to what you're doing in the US. So maybe that's the only reason why I do it in the US first and then come to Europe. But maybe we can start as well something in Europe. So yeah, but my point is, I would definitely love to do something to start and try, and maybe we can be at the beginning of a nice trend. So I don't know. Let's see.
Sounds like a
yeah,
great idea.
exactly. Yes.
Okay. Frost, thank you so much for doing that. Frost Lee, the founder and the CEO of Social Chat. That was really super. Thank you so much for doing it.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was a really amazing conversation.